Okay, there, we're recording. Hi, most of you remember me. This is Mr. Wilson, and I am going to give you an overview of the labs, what you're going to be doing for the labs. And today I'm going to do the first three, which is for the first week. Okay, let me get this camera focused on where we're going here. I'll probably just pull this all over to, there we go. It does bend a little bit. Okay, pull this all over here. All right, so for the first week, we're basically just going to review some basic manipulation with measuring and handling of the equipment. And toward the end, we're going to review some allocation, and hopefully you can see that. And so I guess we'll just get started. As we go through here, you really should be watching these before you attempt, because we're going to have to make some modifications. There are some things you'll have to get out of your kitchen that you won't find in the kit, but they should be normal household items. Shouldn't be a big deal, and we can pursue that way. Okay. So obviously, as always, before we start, we wash our hands. I'm going to use this alcohol foam. We usually do. And do a hand washing that way. There we have it. And apply gloves. Gloves here. There we go. Okay. I get a kick out of this. It says fill your 100 milliliter beaker with 73 milliliters of water. Well, obviously, you can't do that. If it's a 100 milliliter beaker and you put 73 milliliters of water in it, you're not going to fill it. But put 73 milliliters of water and into your 100 milliliter beaker. Okay, so we've done that. What I did was I went and got another large flask and put a quantity of water in it, large quantity of water in it, so that we'll have it here. Okay, so you could do that if you are in the habit of using bottled water. You could have a bottle with you, or you could do this in the kitchen and just do it from the tap. There's a lot of ways to do it, but put 73 milliliters of water into your beaker. Obviously, measuring in a beaker like this isn't the most accurate thing in the world, but you should be pretty close to 73 milliliters. Okay, all right. And then they ask you to pipe at 9 milliliters of water from the 100 milliliter beaker into the 50 milliliter beaker. All right, so here's your 50 milliliter beaker. The pipette uses a bulb. It's a pretty handy bulb, actually. And these are your pipettes. Some of you have seen them before, some of you have not. We have at least one student that I'm aware of that has not yet taken 176, and that should not be an issue. Okay. So we're going to pipe at 9 milliliters of beaker. Right? So we put the pipette in, we squeeze the bulb, put the pipette into the so if we go from 0 to 9, we've got 9, don't we? Doesn't seem to want to hold. Here we go. And then squirt that into the 50 milliliter beaker. There, that wasn't so difficult, was it? Okay, there. So it's good to get some practice with squeezing the bulb, measuring. Obviously, the pipette is way more accurate than any of these other measuring devices because the lumen is so narrow. All right. Bring the pipette over to 50 ml beaker and squirt it in. They mentioned something about. I suppose I can do that. Pull it up. Measure it. See, put your thumb over the end of it and then let it drop down. That's above and beyond. I mean, I think you're going to find it a lot easier just to control it with the bulb. And let's face it, in pharmacy practice, it's not the most common thing you're ever going to do anyway. So demonstrate that, and that'll be fine. Then you could measure the rest of the water to see if you got the right amount, which is the pipette is much more accurate than anything else you're going to measure with. All right, next step, step 6, measure 10 milliliters of water into your 10 ml graduated cylinder and then transfer the water into your 50 ml beaker. Oh, big deal. Okay. So here's your 10 milliliter graduate. Okay. And you're going to pour the water into the graduate. Okay. Again, remember, look at the meniscus. You want to look at the bottom of the meniscus and make sure that the bottom of the meniscus is at the 10 milliliter mark. I wish these marks on this graduated cylinder were clearer, but they aren't, so look carefully. Okay. It's a good trick. Getting okay. Make sure you hold it up and look at it parallel. Okay, hold it level. And there, we've done that. 10 milliliters of water in a 10 milliliter graduate. Okay. Use your 10 milliliter syringe to draw 7 milliliters of water from the beaker. Now, that's going to be a whole lot more practical in terms of what you're likely to do. So find your 10 milliliter syringe. There should be a 10 milliliter syringe in your kit. Open it up. You want to find all this stuff. You don't want your video to take forever, like this seems to. Find all this before you begin to record the video. That just makes sense. And like I said, most of you have done this last term, so you know what's involved. So you're going to draw 10 milliliters. Okay, now with syringes like this, there's always going to be air at first. You want to get it up to the top, turning it upside down, and work it out until you get to the 10 milliliter mark. You want to read, by the way, I don't know if this comes up anywhere else or not, but when you read this syringe, when you read the markings, you can see there are two black lines there, okay? Two ridges, okay? And they call that the leading edge and the trailing edge of the stopper, okay? And the leading edge is what you always use. The leading edge is closest to the tip, to the hub, okay? This trailing edge, it's just, well, like it says, it's a trailing edge. It's just to mop up behind it, okay, just to make it a tighter seal. But the leading edge is what you always use for measurement. So you want to follow this black edge in the syringe for where your measurement goes. All right, so there's your 10 milliliters. We've done that. Let's work that in here. Okay, how about that? Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, now refill your 10 ml syringe with water and determine how many mLs of fluid a teaspoon can hold. Oh, use your 10 ml syringe to draw 7 mLs of water from the beaker. Release 3 mLs of the water from the syringe into a teaspoon. All right, now I don't have teaspoons. I'm at school. You probably have them at home. You probably have spoons that you use for baking and that sort of thing. And that's what they're talking about when they ask you to do that. So get your baking spoons out before you begin to do this. I am going to withdraw 7 mLs. Did I do it? Yeah, I did. There we go, 7. Okay. All right, so there's your 7. Release 3 from the syringe into a teaspoon. Well, like I said, I don't have a teaspoon. I'm going to use this medicine cup. It is graduated. It does have markings on it. So now I'm at 7. I'm going to go down to 6, 5, 4. I've released 3 mLs. All right, so there we have it. There's 3 mLs. And did it fill the teaspoon? Well, no, it doesn't, because we all know that a teaspoon is 5 mLs. So it almost did, but it didn't, because we've used 3 mLs and a teaspoon is 5 mLs. So there you have it. Refill your 10 ml syringe with water to determine how many mLs of fluid a teaspoon can hold. Okay, and like I said, try your teaspoon. It should be fairly, if it's a baking spoon, it should be fairly accurate. We're going to take this little medicine cup there, down to there. Okay, and we can see now that a teaspoon is 5 mLs. Okay, so there you have it. Okay, and that takes this down. It takes this down to 2. We're almost. We'll take it all the way down to 2, just for the sake of thoroughness. And you can see there we have, that's a teaspoon of 5 mLs. Okay, like I said, if you have baking spoons, use baking spoons to look at it and get an idea of what you're dealing with and what a teaspoon actually looks like. Of course, you're all familiar with teaspoons. You should know that your teaspoons that you set the table with, okay, aren't really measuring devices. They're about a teaspoon, but they're not terribly accurate. Your baking spoons, however, are actually pretty accurate, and they're good enough for what we're doing. So if you're measuring things like that, particularly if you're measuring things like that at home, great. You may have, I'm sure many of you do, dose tubes or dosing spoons. Okay? And they usually hold 10 milliliters, and they're graduated in 1 milliliter graduations. And you might want to try using one of those. Okay. If you have little ones, and they get antibiotic suspensions, you know, one of those spoons will usually come with it. I had as you can tell, I had a cough medicine prescription recently, and they gave me a spoon. I was surprised to see that the label said 5 milliliters, because traditionally we always translate that into a teaspoon, because who has something to measure 5 milliliters at home? But it said 5 milliliters, but they gave me that spoon that I could measure with. So there you go. All right. Use your 20 ml syringe to withdraw 18 milliliters of water from your 100 ml beaker. Verify the remaining water volume in the graduated cylinder to double check your work. So, here's your 20 milliliter syringe. We're going to withdraw from the 100 milliliter. And remember, we started with 73, right? I got a kick out of that. It said, fill your 100 milliliter beaker with 73 milliliters of water. Well, if you put 73 milliliters of water in a 100 milliliter beaker, it's not going to be full. It's a better phrase to use would be add, or deposit, but not fill. Okay, so there's 18, I'm sorry, there's 20, and there's 18. So there's our 18 milliliters. Okay. Release 15 mLs of water from the syringe into a tablespoon. So we're going to go from here down to 3. I'm just going to put this here down to 15. And this could be our tablespoon. Again, if you have a baking measure that says tablespoon, you might want to use that. But 15 milliliters is a tablespoon. Okay, so that should pretty much, there's your 15 milliliters. Okay, so it's 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon is 15 milliliters. So there you have it. That's what that's about. All right. It says refill your 20 ml syringe with tap water and determine how many milliliters of fluid a tablespoon can hold. Well, did we not just do that? Okay, it was 15. So there. I would have dumped that in there. But yeah. So use your graduated cylinder. Use your 100 ml. Fill it up with 20. There you have it. Okay. and then into your tablespoon. Fill the tablespoon. Okay, and that went from 15. That went from 20 down to 5. So that tells us that it's 15. Besides, this is graduated. It says 15. However, we all know that this a syringe like this is more accurate than a medicine cup. Medicine cup is pretty good, but it's not really something designed for terribly accurate measurement. Okay, so there we have it. Empty your tablespoon. I did that using your teaspoon and tap water. Determine approximately how many tablespoons of water it takes to fill 1 ounce. How many tablespoons of water it takes to fill a 1 ounce plastic cup. All right. Well, we have more than one of these. Okay. So I don't know where you. I don't know. Well, we have these. These should be in your kit. Okay. So you can use this for a 1 ounce plastic cup. This is a 1 ounce plastic cup. Okay. And 1 ounce is 30 milliliters. We all know that. So we take our tablespoon. We already have 15 in here now. We're going to pour that in there. And then take 15 milliliters more of water. Come on. 15 milliliters more of water. There we go. Put that in our 1 ounce plastic cup. And lo and behold, there we filled it. Okay, so it's two tablespoons is 1 ounce. 1, 2. Boom. There we go. All right. Okay, record your observations in table 3, which is right below the instructions here. Pour 2 tablespoons of water back into your 100 ml beaker. Record the water volume in table 3. All right, so we pour these 2 tablespoons. We have do this for the sake of curiosity. Okay. But we're right here now. That's we're at 30 at this point in there. Okay. So you want to record that in your table. Just to keep track of how much water you've used now. And it gets off a little because there's some spillage here and there. And that's instructive, to let you know that you don't have 100% retention on all that stuff. Using a tablespoon, determine approximately how many tablespoons it takes to fill 1 ounce. We did that. Pour 2 tablespoons of water back in 100 ml and then record how much water you got. Pour the water from your beaker into a measuring cup until it is 1/3 full and record the remaining water volume in table 3. Pour water from your beaker into a measuring cup until it's 1/3 full and then record the remaining water in table 3. Well, I doubt if you're going to have much of anything. We can use this. Actually, this is pretty good in terms of this is a 250 ml beaker. A cup would be roughly 240 mLs. Okay. So if we take our remaining water and we try to go to 1/3, we're not going to get there. We're not going to get there because of the repetition that we did and so forth. When you do it, you won't be demonstrating. You'll just be going straight through it. So you'll have something left, but well, you probably won't have any left, but you should get near a third of the fill. Okay, so fill out that table. It's not something that I expect you to turn in, but for the sake of your observation, so that you can see what happens as you measure, try to keep track of where the water goes. Okay. All right. Good idea. All right. And then there's a table. You should fill out that table. It's good. It's a good exercise. Just exactly, and you can see that if you go diagonally across that chart, it's all going to be ones. So 1 ml is going to be 1 teaspoon is going to be 1, 10 ml is going to be 1, tablespoon is going to be 1, and then it's going to be fractions above that. Excuse me, fractions above that and whole numbers below it. So that's a good exercise to fill that out. So fill that out, and then we're going to start with experiment 2, which will be another recording. So I'm going to stop this recording, and then we'll do experiment 2.